Welcome, adventurers! You've made it to the Wind Down, the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. It's a chill place to hang out here as the sun sets on another day. We're here to have a little chat, reflect on the day's successes, and prepare for a better tomorrow. So settle in with your favorite beverage this evening.
May I tempt you with a cup of chamomile?
Why, thank you, Dory. I would love a mug of tea this evening, but perhaps you would rather have some coffee, though I do recommend decaf this late in the evening. Or perhaps maybe a cold brew is more your style.
Oh, no thank you, Dory. A little red wine. For me, Isaac.
Sounds like an excellent choice, Gandalf. Whatever you want, it's yours. Could I offer you a bourbon, a martini, an old-fashioned, or something perhaps a little stronger? Ugh. Well, I mean, if that's really your thing, then okay, but I hope we can find something a bit better than that.
Romulan ale? Why, Bones, you know this is illegal.
I only use it for medicinal purposes.
All right, now we're talking. I'm Heath, and I'll be your host. Welcome to my home. Come one, come all, writers, artists, sculptors, storytellers, board gamers, streamers, dungeon masters, fans of sci-fi, fantasy, geeks of all kinds. Whatever your fandom, you have a place here. For soon it will be time for another long rest so that we can recover our hit points, our spells, and our abilities, so we'll be ready to fight on for another day tomorrow. But first, we all need a little time to reflect, because you've survived another long, perilous day of wilderness treks, dungeoneering, and random encounters, and that's worth celebrating. Let's tell the tale. It's time for the Wind Down. It will improve your life. It really will. Give it a chance. Here we go. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. You are here at the Wind Down. It's the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. It's the best way to end your day. It really is. We're here to be chill, to be cool. We can talk about different topics in the Geekverse. We can talk about how our day went. And if it didn't go the way we wanted, how we can improve for tomorrow. And we can celebrate our successes as well. You know, you can call for fog. If there's not enough fog, let me know. We can get the fog machine going here in the office. You're welcome here at my house today. I've got a little bit of brew this evening, so that's my drink of choice. I hope you've got your drink of choice as well. What do we always start with? We start with breathing, because breathing is so important. Do this with me. I know there are people out there who are going to resist, but you should breathe with me. Breathe in, hold, and then exhale completely. You may think that's weird, but if you come here to the Wind Down and you breathe with us, your life will be better. I'm telling you it will. And I do it because it makes the live streams better, because I get really keyed up. And why am I doing this in the evenings? I'm doing this to be chill, to wind down. So when I breathe, you know what? The live stream goes more smoothly. So you can call out for that as well. So let's breathe, and then we're going to sip. Breathe and then sip. All right, now that's a chill way to start this evening and to wind down today. I'm so glad you're here. We got 6 people here. Wonderful. So glad you're here. We've got lots of topics to discuss, and we're going to have a good time this evening. So let's see what's going on in the comments. By the way, is the music too loud? Is it too soft? I've got control over that. I don't want it to be overwhelming, but on the other hand, I like having the music to chill out to. So let me know, we can make adjustments here. This is a highly experimental live stream. This is only the 4th wind down that I've done. So I've just decided this was a good idea. It helps me at the end of the night. Maybe it'll help you too. I would love it if it helped you. And that's why you're here. So if you come in, if you have suggestions, please let me know. It's like I said, this is just an experiment. We're just getting started here, working out all the format and things like that. I'm going to hit the fog machine again, get some additional atmosphere in here. I was talking to Inner Light before the live stream started, And Inner Light was saying that the day didn't go quite as well as she wanted. My day didn't go quite as well as I wanted. I didn't even get to my core creative time. I was trying to be creative today, and I didn't get to it. We can talk about that. So my day didn't quite go as planned. I'm working on how I can get better tomorrow. We will talk about that. And let's see here. Inner Light said, yep, that's the hard part sometimes. I almost always take failure personally, probably because I'm extremely invested in success. So am I, and that's the way so many of us are, right? We're extremely invested in our success. We're trying to create what we're trying to create, whether that's RPGs, board games, writing movie scripts, writing novels. I mean, there's a ton of stuff that we are trying to do here in this world, and we want to get them done. Me too. And when they don't happen, man, I feel bad. I do take it personally too. But I'm trying to make sure here, by having here the wind down, an anchor at the end of the day, I got to stop here at the end of the day. I got to be chill, because for me personally, I found that sleep is so important. If I can get sleep right, get to bed at a reasonable time, sleep well. Don't take your phone to bed. Don't take your phone to bed. It hurts me. I'm looking at all kinds of things. Not sleeping. I'm trying to make the bedroom a technology-free zone. And if I can do that, I sleep better, I get up early, and then we attack the day and we get the things done that we want to get done. The Nose Plays is here. I was just talking to you on Discord. It's so good to see you. I'm so glad that you're here. We've talked a lot. The Nose Plays, you've probably seen him in the comments on the videos about the RPGs and how we're developing action systems for RPGs and rolling dice and all of that. Extremely important contributions in the comment sections of those videos. And he says, Heath, when it comes to success, and don't take this the wrong way, but you have probably the best hair in the game, my friend. Okay, I hadn't read that before I put that up here. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, I feel like I got a little bit of wild hair going on right now. I just brushed it right here, but thank you. I really appreciate that. Makes me smile. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Access Your Inner Light says, agreed, loving the hair and the eyes. You're too much. You're too much. Thank you. That's a wonderful way to wind down the year. Got a weird echo on my end. Nose Plays, is that some on mine? That sound good is me. Okay, so it looks like it's technical problems on the other side. If it's something on my side, we'll take care of it. All right. Music seems just right. Excellent. Wonderful. Okay. The Nose Play says, going to join you with a glass of Irish whiskey tonight, Heath. All right. Wait, how do I say this? Salanti? So I'm sorry, I don't know. But all right, Irish whiskey. I've got an American beer. It's what I had ready. I'm trying to actually reduce alcohol intake a little bit, but I decided to go ahead and have a beer tonight. So here, let's toast. Here we go. All right. So let's talk about, why we're here. I started this evening live stream only about 4 days ago. So like I said, this is still highly experimental. But in the mornings at 9:30 a.m., I've been doing the morning grind, where we talk about a topic in the Geekverse. This morning, we talked about Anakin Skywalker. Inner Light and I had a great discussion about the story arc of Anakin Skywalker. If you've seen that and you have some questions or extra comments or things like that, please let me know. We can talk about that here some more if you would like. We talked about Anakin Skywalker's story arc as a critical analysis for storytellers, getting into that story arc and finding out what it's all about. But I've also been doing a lot of RPG stuff and also talking about Ritual, the social deduction party game that we're developing. We're going to be talking about GURPS tomorrow. GURPS and its action system. GURPS is the generic universal role-playing system, and it's one of my favorite games. Has been for a long time. You can see lots of GURPS books back there. We'll be talking about that in the morning. But, I sent out over 100 new invites for the Ritual playtest. I guess I should go ahead and put this in the chat since we're talking about it. If you don't know the Ritual game, I'm going to post that in the chat right there. And then if you want to be part of the playtest, sign up right there. So those two links are in the chat. So I sent out a bunch of those today. I really want to be able to create an online environment so we can play test that game and all hang out together. I think that'd be very cool and very useful. So I didn't get to Tabletop Simulator today. I also have some other potential solutions, and that would be great. I just need time. That's one of the things we'll talk about as well. So we're here to reflect on the day. Like I said, okay, so what I was saying was that this is the corollary to the morning grind in the morning. In the morning, we talk about something related, some geek-related topic, whether that's an RPG, stories, movies. We're going to talk about all kinds of things. But then at the end of the morning grind, every day, in the last 10 minutes, we want to talk about how we can improve our life. Because really, I would love it if we as a community, because I really believe that we can take over the world as members of the Geekverse. We've got a lot going for us. And if we focused our time and we really made the most of our days, we could take over the world. So we have our geek-related discussion, because I like having that, because I live alone in this house. I want to talk about board games. I want to talk about Star Wars. I want to talk about all these other things. We do that during the morning grind for about 50 minutes every day. Then in the last 10 minutes, we talk about, now, what is it that if we accomplished during the day, at the end of the day, 12 hours later, here when we're doing the evening grind, that we would say we had a good day. If we did those things, it's like, man, this was a great day. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. Now I can mellow here, prepare for sleep, and have another great day tomorrow. So that's why we're here, to kind of mellow and chill out. I hope that you have had a great day. I hope that you have. I hope you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. I didn't get to my core creative activities today, and I'm really sorry about that. It's because looking at my note cards and how I documented my day, it's because I've got so much going on, so many different projects. I had a whole bunch of administration to do for projects, and that helped get the play tests out for Ritual today. Emailed a bunch of people, about 100 new people, to go into the Discord server. But we're going to talk about community building in a little while tonight, because I don't feel like right now I have the kinds of tools I want to create the community around fantasy and tabletop gaming and things like that. But I'm having a new idea. I'm having some new ideas. I just need more time to develop them. So hang out. If you have questions this evening, I'm taking questions. Let's not get down into the weeds about particular rule sets and things like that. We'll save that for the morning grind. It's more of a morning grind kind of thing. But if you have general questions about things that are going on, how our day is going, how the development, the high level kinds of things, this is also a good time for high level kinds of things. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. I'll be happy to respond. That's what we're here for. We also want to celebrate victories. We want to celebrate victories while we're here, because you may again be alone, or you might have friends, but they might not be part of the Geekverse. And you may have accomplished things today or done things that other people don't really care about. And that's really sad. But you know what? We can be your friends. This is the community right here. So if you did something happened to you today, you accomplished things that you want to tell people about, put it in here. Put it in the chat. We'll bring it up on the screen. We'll talk about it. We'll celebrate it with you, because that's what this community is about. This I'm trying to create with Ravenkeep and everything I'm trying to do, a constructive community. We can talk about the difference between positive and constructive. It is positive, but the word I want to focus on is constructive. We want to have a constructive community for the Geekverse here. So if you've got victories to celebrate, please put them down in the chat. We will call them up and we will celebrate together. All right. Oh, we got Inner Light says something. Let's see what Inner Light has to say here. I was mainly working today, but I will have a ton of time for CCT. That's core creative time tomorrow. And for any other projects you might need help with. I have a bit of free time if you want me to research something for you. Well, thank you. Thank you. Are you on? Did you get the Ritual playtest rules? Are you in on that? Don't take up any of your creative time. You want to focus on that yourself. But I put that out. We'll talk about that tomorrow, and then I want to get something going with Tabletop Simulator or other kind of virtual space so we can all get together and we can play together. Ritual and other things. I'm working on that. Matt says, hi all. Matt, it is fantastic to see you. I hope you had a wonderful day today. Hope you got a lot done on your dungeon celebration. Or dungeon celebration. Your dungeon builder that you're working on, Matt's working on an online dungeon builder. Inner Light is working on an RPG, so we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in the future as well. So if you didn't get done with what you were trying to do today, if you didn't accomplish everything that you wanted to do, well, why? How can we improve? We're not going to be too down on ourselves if you didn't do what you were trying to do today. We're going to work on how can we possibly improve. I did get up early, reasonably early today. I got stuck in, but one of the things is I've had a terrible 6 months, terrible last 6 months. Productivity at an all-time low. And so there are a lot of projects that I have that are just jammed up and stuck up, stuck up, and I can't get them dislodged. So I'm trying to focus on one at a time. But there's a whole lot of administration that goes along with, creating a board game, publishing a board game. That's not just the creative part about trying to, play test and create the rules. So my big issue is that, man, there's a lot of stuff that has to do with administration that I've got to do that isn't core creative. And that is a big problem if you are a creative individual. If you've seen some of the morning grind live streams, we've talked about the difference between our core creative time and then our business time. If you're somebody who's trying to run your own company, a creative company, maybe you're trying to publish your own board games, your own RPGs, your own stories, novels, whatever it is. If you take that on, you all of a sudden have two jobs. You have to do your core creative time. Let's say you're writing novels, because you got to write the novels, because if there are no novels, you're not going anywhere. But on the other hand, the other thing you've got to do is be a publisher, because ordinarily publishers, they get books from people fully written and then go publish them. But if you're going to be doing self-publishing, you have to not only write the novel, but you also have to do everything that goes along with being a publisher. And that's the business side of things. Filling out tax forms, even doing marketing, reaching out to people, doing layout, all of those things. Those things can encroach. And I feel like I'm involved in a whole bunch of administration right now. It's okay. We're going to be doing some great things, but I'm working on that right now. For me, did you have a random encounter today when you were out in the world, going on a wilderness trek, going adventuring, delving into a dungeon? You may have had a random encounter or two. Did you have a really cool random encounter today? If you did, put it in the chat. We'll bring that up and we'll talk about it. Share it with the world. Random encounters. They could be pretty cool. Maybe they're random, or maybe it is the Geekverse telling you something. Maybe. Anything's possible. We'll talk about it. So let's see what's going on in the chat. Let's see here. We'll check it. If you didn't get it, if you signed up, I put the link in the chat right above here. If you signed up, I was just sending stuff out today, so we will see. Matt says, sent my wife to a hotel for 2 days so I can program nonstop. Wow. Whoa, that is a major step in productivity. Matt's working on an online dungeon builder, right? I don't know anything about programming and creating things, in the virtual environment. So that's pretty cool, Matt. But Matt, send your wife away. I hope that maybe the morning grind and the wind down here will be important anchors, or potentially important anchors for your day to help you get stuff done. But hey, if they're messing up your productivity, hey, stay with the productivity and get your stuff done. We will still be here. The Nose Plays says the tabletop sim would be great. Just got it working again. Yeah, see, I haven't been in on that. Now, a negative to that is that it's paid. When I was thinking about, let me start at the beginning. When I was thinking about playtesting Ritual online, I have built out games before in an online environment. I used Tabletopia. I built out 2 games in Tabletopia, War of Kings and Enchantress. Probably haven't been played much, but they took a lot of time. They took a lot of time to build those out. So I don't know what the time investment in Tabletop Simulator is. I don't want to spend a lot of time prepping everything and setting everything up inside the simulator if there's only like one person who actually wants to be part of the virtual playtest. But we might have more people than that. So I'm trying to figure out, first of all, it'd be great if it were easier, right? That I could just get it up, get it put up, get it out there, and then people could come and play. So I'm working on it. I'm hoping that it's easier than potentially Tabletopia. And of course, the Ritual is also an easier game. There are less components than War of Kings, especially, but also Enchantress. So, because I've been thinking about that a lot, because I'm a big fan of tabletop games, as many of us are. Hey, wait a minute. Call for a breath. I need a breath. You might need a breath too. Filled myself. I caught myself. I was getting wound up. This is the wind down. So we got to breathe and take a sip. You should take a sip. You should too. So, where was I on that? I was saying that I hope it's easier, but I was thinking that because we're trying to develop an online community here, that's what I was talking about. It kind of struck me in the last couple of days. Well, then I really need to put in the effort to create these online places and online environments for us. And so I'm thinking about doing that, and that would be great. So I really would like for us to be able to develop a great tabletop fantasy sci-fi community where we can actually do things together. In person might be best. Don't skip in-person playing. If you've got friends or family or coming over for board games or an RPG or whatever it is, you should definitely play with those people in the in the real world, in a room, physical room, playing at a table. That's best. But there are many things, many times, many reasons why we might not be able to do that in the physical environment. So if we can bring it online and we can do it online, then we should totally do that. Stray Kismet, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome to the wind down. Let's see what is going on here. I finished reading about the mainstay class starship in Mongoose Games Traveler. Too scared to leave the port alone. Play solo, LOL. Oh, very interesting. This isn't something that I know a lot about. Have other people played this game? Is this Mongoose Publishing? Now, I did buy some stuff from Mongoose Publishing, especially, back in the 3rd edition days. Is that the same one? I don't know much about Traveler. Well, I've been thinking about solo gaming quite a bit, actually, and I'm wondering how we can integrate that into what we're doing here, because there are solo versions of things. And, I was trying to do the show Dinner and a Board Game. We did one season and we did a pilot, what I call a new pilot for the 2nd season. But it might actually be better to move that online. It's not better in the sense that, well, then we're not together, but maybe if we move it online, then the shows could happen. We could have more. And I was also wondering about solo gaming, because I was looking up solo gaming for RPGs. And maybe I could do some of that online and you could be here with me and we could do it live. Or, even Hero Quest. I've got the auxiliary camera right here. We might be able to play Hero Quest. So solo board gaming, solo RPGs, absolutely better than not playing any RPGs. Absolutely. So I want to look into it and find out more about it. It's not something I have been doing, but I might need to. The Nose Plays says, feels similarly about the last 6 months. Glad we have reconnected on the RPG stuff again. Me too. I was charging really hard earlier this year, and then I hit no sense in being too personal, putting all that, but I hit an absolute wall with the play testing of Ritual. I know, well, actually, probably no one wondered what happened to me. But if you noticed that I wasn't around as much, on the Discord server, I really wanted that to be bigger. And we're going now. We're starting now. The YouTube channel, I hit a terrible wall. And when I realized what was wrong, about 2 weeks ago, this is like day 16 of the morning grind or whatever. Starting the morning grind in the morning was me trying to turn things around, because I was like, I need to connect with more people. Maybe we can do this virtually through these online streams and things like that. So I've been trying to turn this around. And I would love for that to be an important part of this community, because I know that I hit that slump. I'm here alone in the house. I hit a low part of productivity. You want to be able to talk about all your geek related stuff, tabletop games, role-playing games, movies, all of that. But maybe you are connected with people, but they don't want to hear about that, right? Maybe they're not in the Geekverse. Or maybe, like me, you live alone and need somebody to talk to and want to talk about all these things. Well, then you're welcome here. You are welcome here in my house for the live streams and whatever environment we can create, and more environments to come. And then we can want to have a great community. I really like that. The Nose Plays, with a community this big, it would probably be more than enough to play test. I hope so. I have over 700 people signed up for the ritual playtest. There are 700 people. Now, like I said, I had a really rough time the last 6 months. So I was not as active. So hopefully those people will still re-engage. They'll still want to be a part of it. I was sending out some more emails saying that, hey, we're still going, and all of that. Especially if I can come up with a really cool online environment, I hope that would be a big thing. We can all hang out. So it takes work. Sip. Oh, we have a call from Inner Light for sip and breathe. Let's breathe and then sip. All right. So here we go. Let's breathe. Deep inhale. Exhale all the way. Take a sip of your favorite drink. If we all do it together, we'll all get the energy. We'll get everybody's energy. Stray says, yeah, same. Yeah, see, I had this feeling because I was experiencing that. That's why I started the live streams. I was like, you know what? I'm having this problem. It'll help me. It will help me if I am online. If I say I'm going to be online as a live stream at 9:30 a.m. in the morning. And what was that? The Fast RPG that we looked at the very first day. And I was completely ready and prepared to say, you know what? There are going to be 0 people here. There are going to be 0 people for this first morning grind. But I already mentally prepared myself. I was like saying, that's okay. I'm going to do this myself. And it's nobody's going to be watching, and I'm just going to do the broadcast, right? Because, I had tried solo broadcasts before, like several months before. And I thought they were awkward and weird because it was just me sitting here in my office talking to myself. And if there's nobody in the chat and things like that, let me tell you, it's kind of awkward. And so I didn't think they went very well. So then I tried the table talk format where I interview someone. And then I tried the general geekdom format as well, where we had the panel discussion. The issues with those was that they took a lot of administrative effort and time in order to coordinate a guest. On Tuesday, every Tuesday and Thursday night, or coordinate that whole panel. It took a tremendous amount of administration time. And eventually, I did the test. We did, 13 episodes of the table talk where I interviewed someone. We did about 10 episodes of the general geekdom. So, I did many of them, but I was like, is there really not any kind of show that I can do just on my own? And I had the idea for Morning Grind 2 weeks ago. So I got started. And then just 5 days ago, I went, you know what? Morning Grind would be very well augmented by having this evening session, the wind down, so we can bookend our days, get psyched up with our geek stuff in the morning at the Morning Grind, and plan our day and try to do those things during the day and have an anchor here in the evening. That was my thinking. So like I said, this is highly experimental, but that was my thought. But that first day that I did Morning Grind, there weren't 0 people there. There were 2 and maybe 3. It was Inner Light. Were you there on that very first day? And Matt? Was it Inner Light and Matt? Were they there on that very first day? Was it the 2 of you? It might have been. And I was so enthusiastic about that. I was like, oh my God, I did this. And there were 2 or 3 people who actually interacted and talked in the chat. And that gave me energy. They gave me a lot of energy to go and do it again today. The next day and the next day. One of my life philosophies is that you need to know what one try is and then commit to 2 or 3 is better. So know what one try is. Like, so when I was trying live streaming with the Morning Grind show, I was like, it is one try at the Morning Grind just doing 1 episode? No, that's not. I decided that one try would be doing it every day for 30 days. That's one try. right? And then commit to 2 tries. So maybe I don't get things right and I have to do it again. Still experimental. If it doesn't go well, then I'll stop. But if it's something that gives me value and you value, like me value because it provides structure to my day, I want to talk about the things that I want to talk about in the Geekverse, and there's nobody else here in the house to talk to. So it helps me because I can talk to you. And if it helps you as well, then man, we've really got something, and we'll see how this goes. So I don't know. That's kind of rambling, but that's the way that the evening, the wind down goes. Inner Light says, missed the first one. Oh, so you were not on the first one. Okay, but you've been here ever since. I know Morning Light is a regular, and you have no idea how much I appreciate it. I loved talking to you this morning about the Anakin Skywalker story arc. It's so great to have somebody to interact with. And then I did comment on the video for the first one. Oh, okay. All right. So we got the video comment. Excellent. So please let me know if this right now is helping you, or if you think there's some kind of suggestion you have to make the wind down better. Please let me know. I'm open to suggestions here. So one thing that I do talk about is, what was I thinking about today? What are the kinds of things that has happened since the morning grind live stream until now? And one of the things that's definitely been dominating my mind and my thinking is how much stuff actually has to be done in order to get where I'm trying to go, because I wasn't able to be creative today because there was so much administration and things like that going on today. And there's a lot more of that in the future. Because I've been basically out of action for 6 months, I've taken a lot of time. Well, actually, that means that I've got a lot of projects that are all backed up, and that means that there's a lot of administration that needs to go on so many projects. And so I've really been thinking about how much has to be done. It's kind of an overwhelming kind of thing. You sit down, and then I've been working my way through to-do lists all day. So I've been thinking about that. But I've also been thinking about the end goal. Well, why am I working so much on administration today? Well, it's because I've got a lot of projects that are backed up, and I need to clear them. I need to clear those projects. And so if I'm able to get those projects done and do the administration, well, then, think about how great it will be when the projects are done, right? And so, I was challenged by someone who's basically been mentoring me in the story kinds of areas when I've been writing. He said, you know what? Because I wasn't writing as much over the last 6 months either. I was feeling guilty when I would sit down to write my stories, because I was like, well, there are other things that I need to be doing. But then I couldn't even get myself to work on the stuff that needed to be done there. And, and he told me, the mentor told me, well, you can get up early, you can stay up late, you can whatever, you've got to get this writing done. You've got to do these stories. And, that's true. That's true. But on the other hand, I've got a list of projects, and I need to spend as much time as I need to get through. Ritual is the first one. Ritual needs to be done because I would really love for Ritual to be successful enough to not only create that board game, but also allow us to do Cultist Season 3. People are moving away even with the Cultists, our actors and our cast and crew. And the Cultist was always supposed to be a 3-season arc. Not always supposed to be a season arc. At the end of Season 1, we designed 2 more seasons for that. And I would really love to be able to complete that and have something that we can show to people. We can talk about the situation with cultists and how that figures into, larger things later. But I really love to be able to do that. That's why I'm trying to focus on Ritual right now. So I've been working on that. Let's see. Inner Light says, this is so helpful, Heath. I don't really have the words to express it right now. Well, thank you, Inner Light. Thank you. I like sending out these positive vibes into the Geekverse. Like I said, highly experimental right now. But I think there's something that's to this. I think there is. That's why I'm keeping going. Inner Light also asks, when you get to the Tales of Rabavania, which is one of the worlds that we're developing here and will be developing on the live streams, have you thought of having an open call for short story submissions? I have not thought that far yet, because that's one of the things that's on the list of things to think about and things to do. how I'm going to approach creating this world. I was really invested in it. You can see I've got the plush toys. Those are the manufacturer samples behind me. Manufacturer samples, they're ready to go into production. See, that's many projects that I've been doing, but I haven't been able to get people together enthusiastic to maybe crowdfund them or whatever. But they're ready. I'm sure that manufacturer is upset with me. Not really. I mean, I paid for have the samples done and things like that, but they want to know when I'm going to come by and order all those Rabavania plush toys. But that's another project that's jammed up. You might be able to see through the smoke some of the Tales of Rabavania action figures, all of the action figure sculpting. Boy, let me tell you something. We'll talk about action figures on the morning grind and elsewhere on these streams. But if you're just trying to work on a world and do your thing, don't start with action figures. They're so complex. We'll talk more about them. They're getting done. I got some pictures actually of the manufacturer who is making the samples. Those are my samples behind me over there. But the manufacturer has been creating samples for the action figures. That's a long process, but we need to be able to get people enthusiastic about Rabavania. So at the moment, no, I haven't thought about anything like that. Rabavania for the moment, as far as the stories go, I'm trying to write them. My intention is to write them. But who knows? Who knows where any of this goes? I mean, that's down the road, so don't count on anything. That would be down the road to think about. But who knows? All right, exactly. Or you're not even thinking that far ahead right now. Not really thinking that far ahead. Stray says the back burner is a swell place for ideas, but the longer they're there, the harder they are to pick back up, I feel. Yeah, it's true. And they don't go away either. That actually strongly connects to another thing that I was thinking about today, Stray. So thank you for bringing that up. And that was removing things from the to-do list. I'm skipping a topic, but we'll come back to it. Let me make note of that. Removing things from the to-do list, because I've got to do better about that as well. Because what's a great way to clear your to-do list is to just declare that you're not doing things, right? That you're like, this was on my to-do list and now it's not. I'm just going to, instead of doing it, I'm going to press delete. Now I realize that sounds like a recommendation to actually not do things, right? But it's not that at all, because situations change, times change, what you want changes. And so sometimes you put something on the back burner, but it's still there. I mean, the back burner is still being there, right? And so it's something that occupies some space of your mind. And so one easier way to handle that is to say, that thing that's on the back burner, that is getting deleted, thrown in the trash, gone away, gone forever. I'm not doing it because, like I said, maybe times have changed, maybe situations have changed, maybe it's no longer relevant, and you didn't really realize that it was no longer relevant. I have that issue on my to-do list. I do. Hey, let's breathe. And sip. Feel better already. I have that issue because there were things on my to-do list that had to do with things that I had already sold. Some kind of, object and things like that I had sold. And I was like, this is all this stuff that is on the to-do list. I use OmniFocus for my major to-do list on the computer. And I was like, now, wait a minute. If I look at this, I should just, all of this is no longer relevant because I sold that object. There's nothing else to do with that object. So remove those objects. We talked about last night about how, let's say you want X. And so in order to get X, you're doing Y, right? And so you're doing Y, you're very focused on Y. And then if somebody asks you, well, why are you doing Y? And you say, well, it's because I want X. Some other person might say, well, gee, if you want X, don't do Y. Doing Z is so much easier, right? And you get so myopically focused on Y that you forget to say maybe technology has changed. Maybe other situations have changed and there is some easier way for you to get to your X without having to go through this long struggle of Y. Maybe there is a Z that somebody who's looking, at 30,000 feet or whatever could tell you that, wait, don't get caught up on that. And I say that here in this because what if you wanted X, let's say a year ago or 2 years ago, and so as a result of that want, you are now doing Y, and you are zeroed in on Y. But now, for whatever reason, X no longer matters. You don't want it. It's no longer relevant. Something in your life has changed. Something, whatever. Actually, but you've been so focused on Y, you haven't even noticed that you don't want X anymore, right? And we can get. I'm talking about myself here. This is entirely self-introspection here. You can get so caught up on I'm doing Y that you lose track of the fact that you are doing Y to get X, and X is no longer relevant. So that's when I was talking about removing things from your to-do list. If you're trying to do Y because you wanted X a year ago, and now you don't care about X, you know what you can do with Y? Press delete. Get rid of it. Feels great. Gets it off your to-do list. That's not just the back burner. That is getting rid of it. And then you can you have more time to focus on now what you actually want. Stray says, a lot of little things can add up to one big thing. It's true. It's true. When I'm looking at my to-do list, the main big to-do list on the computer, and I see 300 items, man, looking at that, it's rough. It's rough. You have to take them one at a time. And eventually I'm going to get these cleaned down, and cleared up. But man, you're right. You say, hey, I got just a little thing, but I got 300 of those little things. Starts to add up in a big way. You have to keep reconnecting the goal and purpose. Yep, you do. And you also need to think about a system, which is what I'm trying to build here. A system for getting done what you want to get done. Because goals are great. I love goals. All right. But if you don't have a system in place to achieve that goal, it's not really all that great, right? And actually, we as human beings, I found, respond to things going directionally in the way that you want. Even if you haven't gotten to the goal yet, but that you're going directionally toward that goal, you can see progress, that becomes very important. Like, for instance, over this last 6 months, when I told you my productivity was at an all low, I haven't been myself. I gained a lot of weight, like many people did over COVID and all of that, gained weight. So I got to get down to what I want to weigh and what will make me feel good. Okay, so that's going to take some time, right? Because I'm probably about 20 to 25 pounds overweight. So that's going to take some time. But I've got to implement. So it's great to have the goal, but it's better to implement the system that gets me to that goal. And that system for me personally, as far as weight is concerned, is to go for a hike every afternoon with a fully loaded adventurer's backpack, about 25 pounds, 3 miles. Watching what I eat, try to reduce my calorie consumption. I'm not tracking calories. I'm just trying to be conscious of making sure that I'm eating less during the day and then also doing that hike. That's a system that will get me eventually where I want to go. And I weighed in today. Let me tell you, I got my notes right over here. So back on November 10th, I weighed in at 192.1 pounds. That's heavy for me. So it's not where I want to be. This morning, I weighed in at 185.6 pounds. It's not where I want to be, but directionally, I wanted to lose weight. I'm losing weight. I'm going in the right direction. That might not be your situation. You might need to gain weight, for instance. Some people say, I want to gain weight. You want to gain muscle mass. You need more muscle mass. Maybe you just think that, you need more mass on you, whatever, to get to where you want to be. Yep, goals are great, but then implement a system that's going to get you there. When you're trying to write stories, my index cards aren't sitting around here. Oh, actually they are. It doesn't matter though. Somebody, God, I forget who was doing NaNoWriMo. There was somebody in the chat who was doing NaNoWriMo. But you want to write a novel that's got 90,000 words or 110,000 words? Well, what's the system? How many words can you write a day? 500 words, 600 words, 750 words. If you can do that, then you get to your goal. So that's right. So Inner Light is saying, reconnect goal with purpose, and then ensure activity is matching them. Exactly. So let me check out what our other topics would be. What else am I trying to talk about tonight? How should you be using this time? That's really important to think about. Because, when we're doing the morning grind, how should you be using the morning grind and the evening and the wind down here in the evening? Down here, I'm live streaming. So, this is kind of what I'm doing at the moment, but you can listen. And maybe this is a good time to, put on pajamas, brush teeth, conduct any of your morning ritual or your evening rituals rather that need to be done in order to go. You could be doing some yoga. You could be stretching while all of this is going on. You could be doing some painting some miniatures. You could be drawing. You could be doing many of those things. There's a large amount of truth to the idea that you can't do two things at one time. You can't do two things at one time. But biologically, there are a couple of circumstances where we as human beings can do more than one thing at a time. And the two things that we can do simultaneously are kind of a visual task and then an audio task. And we know that from our everyday lives because we can both drive our cars, which is a visual task and physical motor skill task. We can do that at the same time we listen to the radio, right? When you turn on the radio, you don't just immediately wreck your car because it's too difficult to listen to the radio and drive your car at the same time, right? You can actually do both of those things at the same time. So while it might be difficult to do some type of word-oriented task during the wind down, if this is your audio that you're listening to, you might be able to do some visual or motor task while you're listening to this. That's something that you could do and augment yourself. Same with the morning grind. When you wake up for the morning grind, maybe, planning your day. That was the big one that we can all do together in the last 10 minutes of that live stream. Because you want to know, what have I got to do today that will make this day better? But then also, the morning grind lasts for, an hour, a little bit more than an hour. Do you need to cook breakfast? If you had 30 minutes while you're listening to the morning grind, you could cook breakfast. You could, have some eggs. You have a very nice breakfast. Then you could stretch or do yoga or work out or whatever it is. I don't know. Learn how the time works for you. And then if you spend 10 minutes actually planning your day, at the end of that, man, you would be prepared to attack the day by the time we got here to the wind down. That's what I'm talking about, improving our life. I love board games. I love movies. I love the geek stuff. I love RPGs. We're talking about all of that. But at the same time, I also love productivity. I'm really big on that. And so this is my experimental way of incorporating all of that, right? And trying to make it better for everyone and having a way to go. Inner Light says the morning grind is kind of like a prep rally. It is. It kind of is. The morning grind, this is chill. We're much more high energy in the morning because we're trying to get energy for the morning grind. Energy for our day, that's a pep rally to go out and accomplish what you want to accomplish this day. Yep, morning, I see, exactly. A great time for breakfast since I don't usually eat breakfast. Yep, it could be a fantastic time for breakfast. I had said in some other stream, so much of my life is sitting here at this particular desk. I'm trying to move eating. This is a system of mine. I'm trying to move eating away from the desk because one thing is I destroy keyboards. And one of the reasons is because I eat here. Fix something in the kitchen, come back here. There's YouTube or whatever else on my monitor already. But, I found that if I go into the kitchen, I can set up an iPad or something in there in the bar and put what I was trying to listen to on that as I cook lunch, mainly lunch. And then as I fix it and then I go to eat it, I realized I just stood there. I didn't sit down again. I just stood up. So you get more standing time and then I sit there and eat my lunch, or stand there and eat my lunch in the kitchen, with an iPad at the bar or something like that. Works for me. Works for me. You find out what works for you. Let's talk about self-censorship. Oh my God, I've been going for 50 minutes. Let's go a little bit longer. I've got a couple of other topics to talk about. Let's breathe and sip. Let's talk about self-censorship. Stray recommends wireless headphones. Wireless headphones were a game changer. Yeah, I agree. Wireless headphones are great. I have one problem with the wireless headphones that I personally have, is that, when they're hooked up to the computer here, that would be ideal. But once I get about midway into the kitchen, they start losing connection to the computer. So I got to fix that. But yes, wireless headphones, they allow you to get up, they allow you to move. If you're listening to a podcast or something like that, yes, excellent idea. Thank you so much, Stray. Okay, so self-censorship. I was thinking about this during, as a result of this morning's live stream where we were talking about Anakin Skywalker's story arc. So, I was also thinking about our conversation, Inner Light, and how we can, making sure that I was articulating what I wanted to articulate, easily. I wasn't calling, when we were studying the Phantom Menace and we were studying Anakin Skywalker, I wasn't calling the Jedi, I was calling them space wizards. I wasn't calling Qui-Gon Jinn. I was calling him the Stranger. I wasn't calling Jar Jar Binks. I was calling him the Alien. And I was doing this for a reason that was at least clear to me, but may have not have been clear. It wasn't because I was trying to avoid referencing something owned by Disney. We were doing story analysis. And so when we were just talking about the effects of the story, we could get bogged down in, okay, he's a Jedi, so he does this or that. And this is Anakin Skywalker, and that means this. And this is the planet that means this. All of that's world building stuff, the plot. I like to separate story from plot. Okay, I do have some commentary here on the channel about Return of the Jedi. And I'm also critical about Return of the Jedi, but I use Return of the Jedi as an example. On the whole, I like it, but we can critique it. And I use it as an example, according to the philosophy I'm working under, is that Return of the Jedi has a terrible plot. The events that happen in there don't make a lot of sense. All right. But the reason we like it is because the story beats do what they are supposed to do, right? So the Return of the Jedi story, and I'm not sure which way you want to go with your metaphor. You could go high level, the story at the high level, or you could go story at the foundational level, right? Either the high or the low, depending on your metaphor. But I'm talking about, let's say, the foundational level of the story. Return of the Jedi does what it's supposed to do and delivers the meaning to the audience, even though on the plot level, what you're actually seeing, Jabba the Hutt, his palace, all of this stuff, actually all of that is really messed up. It's kind of messed up, and probably people will be very much more critical of it today if it came out, because we got YouTube and all of that. But that's an example of a story, of a movie whose story does what it's supposed to do, which is why it has been so popular, but its plot doesn't work. Now I just got way off track on what I was doing. Oh yes, so I was saying, the reason I was using the Stranger, the space wizards, was because I was trying to attack the archetypes. Exactly. Yes, exactly. Archetypal interaction. Exactly. That's what I was trying to talk about, rather than the specifics of the world building of the Jedi and stuff like that. But yeah, exactly. So that's what I was trying to get at this morning when we were having that discussion. So, but what I was talking about with self-censorship is because I was talking about the Stranger, the weird alien, the this, the that, and then we came to the beautiful woman, right? Because Anakin Skywalker encounters, as part of his story, the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen, which is Padme, when he walks in. And actually, in all of my notes when I was talking about that, I was calling her hot chick, right? Like, that was where I had placed that in that archetypical schema. I was like, all right, we got hero, we got stranger, we got this, we got bad guy, we've got hot chick. But I was talking this morning and I was calling her beautiful woman. Is that a problem? Like, is that something that I shouldn't have done? That was definitely self-censorship this morning. Instead of calling her in my notes hot chick, I called her beautiful woman. I don't know how much that matters, but that was something I was thinking about today. And I also don't think I completed a thought with Anakin Skywalker this morning, because we talked about how Anakin Skywalker had, he was on autopilot when he went into danger, right? The autopilot, for whatever reason, took him into danger. And I said, I think that has to do with him being younger. And I was contrasting, because on the physical level, as far as the plot, the world building stuff, Luke Skywalker and Anakin Skywalker do exactly the same thing. Both of them are low status people, a farmer and a slave. Of course, slave a bit lower status than farmer, of course, but low status people on a desert planet. That's how Anakin Skywalker starts off in episode 1. That's how Luke Skywalker starts in episode 4, the original show. And then at the end of those movies, they're both supposed to end up war heroes because they have saved a planet by engaging in starfighter battle, right? And blowing something up in orbit, right? So I was saying that, but we have less trouble, but Luke got to make conscious decisions to go and do that. Luke got to make conscious decisions about that. Anakin never did. Everything was on autopilot for him. And I wonder if that has something to do with the age gap there, because in Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, Luke is definitely a military age male, right? A prime military age male. So having him go and blow things up, go into battle, choose to go into battle, choose to be a soldier or a fighter pilot, or whatever you want to say, that's okay. Now, Anakin Skywalker is 9 years old. So if you're talking about constructing your story, let me not talk about constructing your story. Let's talk about making a movie as a large studio who's spending a lot of money and has to make a lot of money in a commercial environment, highly commercial environment. My point was that maybe one of the reasons they did some weird stuff and left Anakin Skywalker out of some of his agency was because he's younger, and maybe they didn't feel comfortable having a 9-year-old as a warrior and a soldier in war. Whereas if you're 18-year-old Luke Skywalker, okay, well then, go ahead. But maybe that was part of it. Maybe that's why some of that weirdness entered in there. Also, now I'm on this subject. Well, here we go. We're just going to keep going. Because I was also thinking about today the importance of what is the guy's name who shot at the Death Star and missed with his proton torpedoes. Somebody will know in the chat. What is his name? I think he's Red Leader. The Red Leader, the hero guy. I was thinking a lot today, as far as story construction goes, how important he is. And this is really the only major critique that I have of Star Wars Episode 4. I'm like, what would you do to improve that story? Because it's such a classic hero's arc. Everybody talks about it. But the guy who leads the X-Wings and misses his shot, because he turns on the targeting computer. I know what you're talking. I know you know what I'm talking about. Right? If you're on this live stream, you know what I'm talking about. The guy who's going down the trench and he shoots at the exhaust port before Luke, right? And he turns on his targeting computer and he goes for the attack run and he misses because he's using the targeting computer. I would play that guy up. I love that guy because he plays such an important part in this story, right? Because he is supposed to embody everything that is valiant and good about the good side, the rebels, and he embraces technology. He embraces technology. Now, of course, the answer in that story is actually you need to embrace faith. You need to embrace the Force. But actually, I would play him up even more, that whatever his name was, Red Leader, maybe Now, this adds to runtime of the movie, but this is what I would be thinking now, that like we need this impossible mission to destroy the Death Star. Who do you want to be there? You want this guy who's going to be Red Leader, and here he comes. He's the veteran of 100 battles. He has blown stuff up. He has done bombing runs. He has been successful. He blew, like I would have them say something, he blew up the whatever and the whatever. He was in the battle of this and the battle of that, and he came out on top every time. So, you know, when they're doing the briefing with the X-Wing pilots, your leader for this mission is whatever the guy's name was. Red Leader right here, the best of the best. And then that way, when he's getting ready, everything goes right with the starfighter battle. And then Red Leader is like, I'm making my attack run. Right? Everybody cover me. I'm going in. Everybody should be expecting for him to make that shot and destroy the Death Star. And he does everything right except for one thing. He relies on technology. He relies on the targeting computer. And that's the wrong answer. Targeting computers and technology will not allow you to destroy the Death Star. So you're all of a sudden shocked when it doesn't happen. Well, now, wait a minute. If that guy, the hero, the veteran starfighter commander, couldn't destroy the Death Star, what hope do we have? What hope do we have? Because I was also thinking about the ordnance, because I was talking about this morning how the Death Star is actually not badly designed. You have to have special weapons in order to even get past the shielding of that exhaust port. And so we can only carry so many weapons of that type on board our starfighters. Well, you know, he missed his. We're running low on ordnance, right? What hope do we have? We only have Luke Skywalker, and he's going in with his targeting computer on. And what do we know? We know that that story is technology versus faith. We already saw our hero, the veteran guy who should have been able to make that shot, miss with his targeting computer. The targeting computer technology is the wrong answer. What do you need to be? You need to be a space wizard. You need to use magic. Hey, always be a space wizard if you have that opportunity, right? So Luke disconnects his targeting computer. That's what he's got, that other veteran guy. Oh, we're getting Commander Monk. Okay, thank you very much, according to Camden. Okay, so Commander Monk. Luke has, I don't like that name. They need to fix that. Luke has something that Commander Monk doesn't have, and that's his reliance on the Force and the ability to use the Force, and that allows him to destroy the Death Star. Oh, wait, excuse me. Oh, no, wait, it was Commander Garvin Dress. Well, Commander Garvin, I like that name better. They did better with that name. Inner Light also says, I find hot chick humorous, but other people might be offended by it. I don't know. See, I intended it in a humorous way. That's how I intended it. Because, you know, it's so archetypical. Archetypal. It's so archetypical that Anakin Skywalker, why does he want to do this dangerous pod race? And we talked about the problems with the pod race and how to reconstruct it. That you got to do this. Why have I got to do this? Because hot chick is in danger, right? That's, you know, that drives so many stories, right? If, you know, Anakin Skywalker, we talked about the problem with him being a reluctant hero. No, he's not a reluctant hero. He is a hero, is a non-reluctant hero. He never rejects the call. He's a willing hero. That's what he is. He's a willing hero with whatever story problems that ends up giving us. But that's because, but if he were unwilling, like, you've got to run in this pod race. You might die. It's extremely dangerous. You got to do this pod race. Why do I have to do this pod race? Why? Because hot chick has got to get to the center of the universe, and her starship needs a new part. And the only way we can get this new part is to win this pod race, is for you to win this pod race. So Anakin's like, wait a minute, what? So that's pretty dangerous. I don't want to do it. But if I do it and I win, then I help out hot chick? Right. All right. Well, then that's motivation right there. That's a lot of motivation. I mean, very classical storytelling, right? Guy is asked to do something dangerous and is like, no, I don't want to do this. But then hot chick wants him to do something dangerous, and it will solve hot chick's problems. And then guy's like, okay, well, I'll do that. That is a major part of Episode 4 Star Wars, right? There's going to be this major adventure, but what happened, and potential death, all of that. But why? Luke Skywalker falls in love with Princess Leia when he sees that hologram. Hot chick is in danger. Getting hot chick out of danger is a major part of Luke Skywalker's motivation in Episode 4. Ignore the fact that in Return of the Jedi they become brother and sisters. I have other thoughts on that. I think that was a bad decision as far as the story goes. I understand why they did it in order to resolve certain things, but I think it would have been better if they were not brother and sister. Doing everything on autopilot could be a good metaphor for Anakin's life. It could be. It could be. The Nose Plays says, you need to watch this video by College Humor about the guy who designed the Death Star. So funny. I might have seen that. Nose Plays says, damsel in distress. Yep. And I think that's a very important archetype. We talked about that on General Geekdom, and I clipped out some of that. I don't know if they've been posted yet, but I will post them. But we had a discussion on damsel in distress and why that is still an important archetype even today, even though it's kind of on the wayside. A lot of people will do the damsel in distress wrong, but as far as storytelling goes, why that is still a very important archetype. Let's see. Let's breathe. I get caught up on talking about Star Wars a lot. But let's breathe. And take our sip. Now, let me tell you one thing that I did today, another thing I did today. It was that for my afternoon adventure, I built a single person grill. As part of what we're trying to do here, I'm trying to promote the philosophy of the afternoon adventure. That's a third anchor point in the day if you need it. The morning is the morning grind, energize, pep rally, just as Inner Light says, pep rally in the morning. Anchor bookended by the wind down here in the evening, but halfway through the day, oh, sorry. Thank you. All right. Can you hear me now? So what I was saying is that I hit it in order to cough, and then apparently I hit it, but I didn't hit it back. All right. So what I was saying was that my philosophy with the grill this morning, I had the morning. There I am. All right. No, I am. Yeah, I am. Everything should be okay. Where was I? Today, I'll just start from the beginning. Today, one thing that I did was I created a personal grill. I built a grill to grill out. I loved grilling out, but I didn't have, when I had a grill, but I don't have one here at my house. And I kept saying, I'm going to get a grill because I'm going to have somebody, people come over for board gaming and stuff. I live a little bit too far away from people for that. So the grill never happened. And, do I need a giant grill if I'm just me? Well, probably not. So I had this idea to build a personal sized grill that I could go and light a fire under and do a wood burning personal sized grill. Last night, somebody asked me, I forget who it was, that if I go and build that grill, will I please video it for YouTube? And ordinarily for the afternoon adventure, for that philosophy of the afternoon adventure, I haven't been trying to live stream. I've been putting stuff out, particularly on Facebook, on Instagram stories, I'll put this right here just if you're interested. That's where I put it. That's my Instagram and Twitter. I use Twitter some, but not all that much. But I've been using using Instagram and the stories specifically on Instagram to document the afternoon adventure. So if you need an anchor point there when the stories come up, maybe think about afternoon adventure. So my afternoon adventure was I was trying to walk 1.5 miles with my adventuring gear in my backpack. After 1.5 miles, I needed to build a grill, ignite a fire, cook a steak, have lunch, and then clean up and then walk another 1.5 miles. So I was able to do that. I walked the 1.5 miles because I've been walking. That wasn't the big deal. I got the grill set up and I cooked the steak on it, and it was pretty cool. So, we're trying to do the things with the afternoon adventure that our heroes, our D&D RPG heroes would be able to do. And start a fire, create a personal grill, have some steak. That sounds like something they would do. So I've been trying to work on that. So I put that out, but I also videotaped it. Now I'm going to have to edit it and all that kind of stuff. But it's a really neat idea, I think, having a personal grill like that. And it was successful. I've got to work on getting the fire going. Especially evenly in order to cook the steak. I need a little bit more practice with that. This was just step one. So I did that. Let's breathe. What happened to you? Anything happened to you? Like I said, random encounters, please put them in the chat, or other things that we need to celebrate that happened to you that were good today. We can do that here. Let me take this down. Sip and breathe. So the last thing I was going to talk about was building a better community. This is always still going in the back of my head. How can we do better as community building? I've got some ideas with the virtual tabletop, the tabletop simulator that will allow us all to collaborate and get together and play RPGs online or tabletop games online. I've been thinking about that because I really like for the community to grow and do something very different, and have a different style of community. I noticed that as I was doing these live streams and things like this, that the number of subscribers that I has actually been dropping, right? It's actually been dropping. People say do more in order to grow, but as I've been doing this over the last 2 weeks, actually the number of subscribers on the channel has been dropping. That's not a problem. I posted a video at some time about what do you do if you start doing things and people start unsubscribing or unfollowing when you're posting to social media. And basically I said, don't worry about it. I said, because this is what I'm doing. I think I'm coming up with a pretty good format here. And if people aren't enjoying this and they don't want to see it, then you know what they're going to do? They're going to unsubscribe. So, but on the other hand, I don't feel too terribly connected. I want to feel better or a greater connection with people that are part of the community than even this does. I love this actually, because I love hearing everybody in the comments and being able to bring those up and to respond and things like that. But if we were able to actually have a space where we could play games together and things like that, we'd really have something. So I'm still working on that. I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's still ever in my mind as I'm working. So if you have suggestions or things like that to build a better community around what we're doing, and strengthen everybody. I mentioned this in another live stream that, there are a lot of people who say, I want to support independent stuff. If they're watching something about how much, let's just as an example, whatever, Star Wars is terrible. Maybe you think Star Wars is terrible. Okay. So there's lots of live streams and videos and stuff about how terrible Star Wars is. Okay, whatever. Or whatever. Pick it. Maybe you don't think that. Maybe you think about that some other franchise. This is just an example. Well, and then people will say something like, well, I wish there were more independent stuff. But actually, it's very hard to get people to pay attention to independent things. Because one of the reasons that even if you don't like Star Wars, again, just as an example, even if you don't like the way Disney has taken Star Wars, you still like Star Wars because other people know Star Wars and they like Star Wars and it's something to talk about. So if you come up with your independent thing and say, well, I've got this, whatever this is, well, people aren't going to like that quite as much because other people don't like that as much. People like things also that other people like. But if we have this community, then we can promote, the other independent creations that other people are doing. And we can take a look at them in the morning stream. I know the Nose Plays is creating an RPG. Inner Light is creating an RPG. Why can't we look at them in the morning grind when they're ready? When they're ready to make kind of a public debut and public discussion. We could look at those and we could realize these are all members of our community and, look at them together, comment, critique, and enjoy them. Okay, here's another important part of all of this. I had somebody who told me a couple of weeks ago that you don't want to talk about how you're doing things because you might be training the competition. You don't want to train your competition. And on the surface, I understand that. I mean, you don't want to train your competition. Right. You don't want to do that. Except for you need to understand who your competition is and, importantly, who it is not. Right? I don't think of anybody who's here on these live streams as competition. They're not competition. We're all on the same journey because I like role-playing games. I like novels. I like books. I like stories. I like web shows. I like RPGs. I like board games. And I can only create so many myself. You might be creating one that I would really like, right? I can't create all the time. Sometimes I need to wind down and enjoy something that somebody else creates. And that could be the thing that you create. And if we can help you create that, if I can help you create that, or if we as a community can help you bring that out, who knows? We might all love that as well and have a great time with it. So I don't think of it as training competition. I think of it as all of us helping to do something that we're trying to do and bring it out so everyone can enjoy. If we are able to successfully do these things, we will all enjoy it better and have a lot more to enjoy. Inner Light says, I'm enjoying it a lot, but I don't feel as much need to comment on videos where I'm in the live chat. Wait, what? I'm enjoying it a lot, but I don't feel as much need to comment on videos where I'm in the live chat. Oh, right. Yes. If you're live chatting, well, that's different. Right. Yes, that's different. Stray Kismet says, I'm really happy I hopped in. This is fun. I had an amputation recently. Your goals are helping more than just the bipeds, my dude. Oh, well, thank you. I'm glad. I hope everything is all right. This is obviously a major thing right here. I can only imagine trying to go through that. I don't even know what to say regarding that because I'm sure it's all ridiculous because people have said all these things. I know that's a major life thing. But yes, well, welcome. If this helps you and we all go and attack our goals together, I am seriously happy. Inner Light says, I would love to share something on the morning grind. Maybe I can send you something sometime. Right. Yeah, I think so. If we're doing the morning grind every morning, then, when it's ready, it's got to be ready, but then once it's ready, then, we should be able to look at it. The Nose Plays says, one idea for a topic might be publishing info. I've been looking at drive-through RPG model. Okay. So, let's talk about that. All right. Publishing models. Now, he comes up all the time, so I'm going to talk about him again. Lou Anders. You might want to look into a guy named Lou Anders. He is a traditionally published novelist. I've got his novel sitting over here, and then he self-published. He self-published his own RPG campaign setting, and then he also gets contracts for existing IP. Just one second. So not only, he's done basically everything people are interested in. He's published his own novels in a traditional sense in his own world. He's self-published his own RPGs that are set in that world, and then also Disney will contact him in order to write novels on existing IP. So this is his Star Wars novel that actually this novel explains why the Millennium Falcon is sitting there in that particular area of the Star Wars world that Disney built and stuff like that. And I did an interview with him and it's on this channel. So as far as publishing info, we talked a lot about that, and that's on this channel. I can talk a lot about self-publishing because I have had a reasonable amount of success self-publishing things. I may not want to go forward with that in the future. I've got some, I have videos on things like self-publishing and the business side of things, but the thing is nobody watches them. So, I spent a lot of time making about, 200 videos on the business side of being a creative person, right? But obviously they didn't get to the right audience. They didn't connect right because I talked about self-publishing and even traditional publishing and things like that with the experience that I've had. I've self-published, just so you know, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm just saying this is the situation. So I have some information. I've brought over 300 different products to market, completely self-publishing. So that's something that I know about, but man, it's not easy. But maybe there's some way that we could get that information out to people who are trying to do that through what we're doing here. Yeah, because I would like for that information to get out, because I also love teaching. I love teaching what I'm trying to do. And so that was kind of what I was thinking when I started that separate, kind of video stream or, section of videos, clump of videos about, I called it, business for creatives. And, I was able to do some lectures at a couple of different universities on that subject. But when I put the material online, well, nobody's caring. But maybe if we have an opportunity in a community, we can share that information and we can find some way to share that information well. I don't want to get too caught up on that because, your creative stuff might be just, creating your dungeon for your friends on Friday night. And that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay. That can be your creative time and that improves your life. But I know there are some people, and it seems like there are a lot of people in the stream like this, that want to create their own novel, their own game, their own video game, their own comic book, miniature line, RPG line, stuffed animal line, action figure line, whatever, and bring that out themselves. And I've got information on that. And so there might be some way to share that. So I'm thinking that those creators will be an important part of this, but I don't want to limit this only to that. The people who are you thinking of this solely as a hobby, which, by the way, I am totally for, because as soon as you start making tabletop games your business, what you're trying to make money at, the amount of time that you have for hobby time with that starts to decrease rapidly. So the people who have sources of income that are something else, that are not trying to make a living publishing in the tabletop and fantasy industry, go for it. Just spend your hobby time. I want that to be a part of it too. But maybe there's something we can do here. Matt says, I've been publicly devlogging my development on my dungeon crawler, so I can generate a community that drives the direction of the game. So I don't think waiting until release is always good. Yeah, it's not always good. It's not always good. You're right. I want to take a look at what you're building when you have it ready as well. It is a strange thing, right? Because it seems like, what should you do to promote what you're trying to do? Well, you can talk about what, your process of building. That becomes a story that you can talk about. That is a good idea. It can definitely work. The problem is that there are a lot of people who can talk about things that they're going to do that never happens. So if you're a person who actually gets things to happen and you are able to get those things done, then talking about your process and the development of what it is can be a good idea. The problem is that everybody else who is looking at this, they have to be determined, of all these different people, of the 99 people who are saying they're developing something, how do I find that one person, 1 out of 100, that is actually going to make it happen? That's difficult. And also, another thing I would say on that is you do have to be careful about your marketing. I see this in the book world a lot. Like, let's say you're writing a novel and you want to bring out the novel. What do you want? You want people to buy that novel and enjoy reading it, right? So I see a lot of novelists, especially on Twitter and on Instagram and stuff like that. Like, well, I'm writing a novel. I can document my process of writing a novel, right? And that makes a fair amount of sense. But are the people who are interested in learning how to write a novel and how to write the story and all of that the same people who want to buy the novel at the end of the day? Often they are not, right? So if you're trying to talk about what you're doing with the hopes that people are going to buy that novel and develop into the world, it's two different groups of people. The people who want to know how to write a novel, they need certain information, they need certain products, and then the people who want to enjoy a novel are a different group of people, and they need certain things. And so if you say, hey, I'm going to talk about how I made this and what I'm doing, and then at the end of the day, I want you to buy it, well, you have to realize that the people who wanted to know how to build it, they're building their own. They don't want to read yours. They just want to know how you made it. And so you can have a mismatch of marketing opportunities there. You can mismatch your marketing. And I see that a lot. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Like I said, this is kind of rambling and off the top of my head, I know, but that's what I was trying to say. The nose place, you're talking about Lou. Watched your talk with him, I think. It was the very first interview that I did. It was the very first interview that I did. Yep, I did. I interviewed him. And he was also on Dinner and a Board Game. He was on one of the episodes of Dinner and a Board Game. You ought to look that up. I forget exactly what episode it is. But Lou was here when we were filming in the kitchen over there. And Lou had brought champagne. We were making mimosas. Oh, it's the episode where we play Small World. Look up the Dinner and a Board Game episode when we play Small World. Lou's over here in the kitchen. He's opening up champagne in order to make mimosas. And the cork, we have the cork explosion in the kitchen. It surprises everybody. And I was afraid he had taken out a light or something like that in my kitchen. I mean, I wouldn't have cared, but everybody was like, oh my God, did he damage the light in the ceiling and stuff like that? Because you can see this cork explosion. Everybody had it. So look that up. That's Dinner and a Board Game. I don't know what episode number it is, but it's the Dinner and a Board Game Small World. Lou plays with us. Look that up. Mike says, just wanted to say, hey, been listening while drywalling. Oh, well, that's great. That's an important task. Thank you for the morning grind and now the wind down. You're welcome. I'm glad that it helps you. Drywalling. That's some very, very important task, manual labor task. I do appreciate good drywall, actually. I know you're going to think that sounds weird, but I renovated this entire house to become my gaming house, and I need to put up more videos on that. But I did eventually get so deep into it that I was like, you know what? I got to hire somebody else to come in and help me out, because it's just too big a task. And when they did the walls with the sheetrock, they did a fantastic job. And I was like, you know what? I really appreciate the really nice walls that they put into my house because of the drywall. So go for it. The Nose Plays says it's a very niche topic, I imagine. And I think you're talking about the business for creatives and stuff. And it's true. That's, who is going to need that, right? Connecting that with the audience is important. I'll tell you another niche topic that I was in. It's actually has done better than tabletop and fantasy stuff. I have another YouTube channel where I teach geography. I teach geographic information systems. And of course, that's a niche topic. I thought, well, do I talk about tabletop and fantasy, or do I talk about, but that was my first foray into YouTube, was teaching geographic information systems. And that channel is actually the one that has done the best out of all of them. I haven't posted a video there in years, many years, but it's a niche topic, but it does very well. Right. Talking about watching Innerlight, talking about watching some of the videos. I might do something different with them. We'll see. The Nose Plays. I'm not sure that I'd say nobody cared. It's just a matter of exposure and finding the right people at the right time. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, you're right. Because so much, I'm anti-algorithm. I'm anti-algorithm. I think that's been a big negative on the internet as we experience it today. What does Facebook show you? What does YouTube show you? What does Twitch show you? What does Twitter show you? What does Instagram show you? It shows you whatever it wants to see. And that's why I have been using the email list, because people on these streams have told me, what's the best way for me to know what's going on? Or what's the best way for me to communicate with you? And the answer I always got was email, because it's not something that's bounded by an algorithm. And I think about that a lot. I think we've got to get away from that. Now, you got to get to people through the algorithm, but once you're able to connect with people, if they want to know what's going on, they want to be a part of it. Hey, follow my Facebook page, subscribe on YouTube. You should subscribe. But even if you subscribe to this channel, are you sure that YouTube is going to show you when we're live again? I mean, they might have something else they want to show you. So yeah, being able to get through that is a big deal. I think there is an audience for that kind of material. I think there's an audience for a lot of the kinds of things I've been doing, and probably you as well. But yeah, getting exposure through algorithmic means difficult. The Nose Play says making sure those videos have all the tags that makes them easy to find for people who are actively looking is important. Yeah, and probably I could do a better job with that. But that's a big task to have to deal with. Running one YouTube channel is hard enough. Running 2 or 3 or 6 is even worse. So, hey, Sam. Hey, yay, so sweet. Excellent. Glad to have you here. Welcome to the live stream at the end of the Geekverse. I'm so glad that you've made it. Small World. Yep, exactly. Oh, which I bought because of that episode. I think Small World is a great game. I love that game. I kept it in my car for a long time as the game to pull out and play whenever I was, at some place like, hey, we have time to play a board game. I had Small World in my car. Then I had a car accident and Small World got splattered all over the road and the woods. Had to buy a second game. So I've got it sitting around here. There's probably a Small World behind me. I'm a huge fan of Small World. Oh, you are a rare and precious treasure that has to be explored and dug for. Thank you so much, Innerlight. Well, thank you. And thank you for all who have gone to that trouble to actually get here and actually explore. So what else? I can't believe I've gone for an hour and a half. In the evenings, I was thinking my plan was for the wind down to be like 20 minutes or 30 minutes, just enough to check in on our day, go through our lists, see if we did accomplish the kinds of things that we wanted to accomplish. Did we have a good day? If we did, celebrate. If we didn't, then talk about how we can improve. But last night and tonight, you guys have been great in the chat, and I've been talking to me, and I love talking to you, and so it's just gone on. I don't want to go on too late, because part of this is for me to wind down, and I'm going to go to sleep, and then I'm going to get up in the morning, and we're going to do the morning grind, and we're going to do it all again. Because personally, I found sleep is so important. Sleep is really important. I've said that before. So if I can get sleep right, I can get up early and then get a lot of work done. But what else? What else? If you have other questions, let me know. For here in the last couple of minutes, I have a little bit more beer left, just a little. So when I finish this beer, we will wind up here and close out with Goodnight Sword. By the way, do you like Goodnight Sword? I realize that in many situations, it might be something that's kind of a juvenile note to end on. And I recognize that, but I think it's a kind of neat way to close out. We've been talking about obviously being constructive in the geek community, and I really want Tales of Rabavania to be something that is family oriented. And by family, I mean a lot of times when people say family, they mean things that mom and dad don't actually want to watch, but they can watch with their kids. That's family entertainment. But I want to have something that people can actually like it. So that's what I'm trying to do with the Tales of Rabavania. And if I get that out there, I feel like there are a lot of people in the Geekverse who like medieval things and who like fantasy things, who would want to share that with a kid. And so that's why I wrote it. We illustrated it. We turned it into a lightly animated thing, which we'll play here at the end. Hopefully sleep was better last night, Inner Light says. It was better. It was better. I left the live chat, went straight to bed, and slept, and then woke up. So that did work. Inner Light says, I didn't like it at first, referring to Goodnight Sword, but now I quote along with it. Well, all right. So it grows on you. It grows on you. I think it's, I mean, how many other live streams have their own animated audiobook to close out an evening stream? And, you know, this stream, even though we're going long here, but even if we were going short, you know, the intention of this stream isn't that, you know, not that you have to watch anything, but, you know, that you're supposed to watch all the way from the beginning to the end. If you come into this stream, you wind down, you become chill, you know, close out the day, and that allows you to get a great start on the next day. You know, if you're here for 10 minutes, you're here for 13 minutes, you're here for 8 minutes, you're here for 6 minutes, whatever, if you derive the value, then right, you got the value, you're done, then you can go out and, you know, go to sleep and start a great day tomorrow, you know. So, you know, that's up to you. This is just wind down and chillax time. Hopefully you're thinking about what's better for tomorrow. I already drafted tomorrow's Tuesday email to go out to the table. Oh, to the table giveaway people. We should talk about the table giveaway. I won't do that tonight. We will talk about that tomorrow night or some other time. But morning email already drafted, so I can send that tomorrow morning. I got to work on hooking up an email server. So still a big rock I'm still trying to move off my plate. Nose Plays says, one last comment. This jam you got playing is oddly fire. Despite being a loop, it never got old. Well, thank you. If we need to change the music, I mean, if we need to change that, I hope everyone likes it. If we need to change it, we can change it. It's nothing particularly special. It's called Night Driving, and it's just part of a sound background loop that you can put on in the software I'm using to stream. I was like, you know what? We should have music for this. So I just picked one of the songs that I thought sounded the most mellow, and I just told it to loop. So it's working for me. So I'm glad it's working for you. We could try out some different ones, but there aren't that many different options. And I don't want anything high energy. Some of the other ones are high energy. So I'm glad it's working. If it's not working later on, if we need to swap up in a couple of weeks or a couple of days or whatever, we can do that. All right, let's see here. I'm going to take the last of the drink here. Breathe. And then I'm going to bring up Goodnight Sword. And we'll let everybody know that Goodnight Sword here, it's part of the Tales of Rabavania, one of the worlds that we're building here on the channel and will be over the next weeks and months and years. But there is a Tales of Rabavania YouTube channel. There's not a lot on it right now, but one of the things, like 4 videos. One of the videos is this. So if you have not seen this yet and you watch it and you realize that, hey, there is somebody, a niece, a nephew, a cousin, a brother, a sister, a child, son, daughter, who you would like to share this with, you can find it on YouTube and then go and let them watch just this show. And also I have the ebook as well. So Inner Light says, good night, Heath. Pleasant and adventurous dreams. The same to you and the same to everybody. So I'm going to let Goodnight Sword play. I will see everybody here on this channel at 9:30 in the morning, which is 11 hours from now. We'll do the morning grind. We're going to be talking about GURPS, taking action and action systems in GURPS. Matt's also wishing everyone a good night.
Night Sword, written by E.H. Robinson, illustrated by Adam M. Botsford, narrated by Brianna De Silva. part of the Tales of Rabavania. Good night, sword. Good night, gourd. Good night, guards who keep us all safe. Good night, dagger. And the iron hauberk. Good night, cheese. Good night, keys. Good night, elm. And good night, helm. Good night, squire. And good night, liar. Good night, shield. And good night to the lance only the gallant wield. Good night, banner. And good night, jewel. Good night, gruel. Good night, knights. And good night to the old soldier who says time's been cruel. Good night, maiden fair, whose favor I bear. Good night, rabbits everywhere.